the new letter today telling Mrs May that she should be prepared to walk away from negotiations here without an agreement. Richard Tice is the co-chair of Leave Means Leave, the organisation behind the letter. He joins us from Westminster. Good morning to you,
morning,
Mr
Adam.
Tice. Are you saying, bearing in mind that we've seen the draft conclusions and they say insufficient progress has been made and we don't even know if the French and Germans will go that far, that Mrs May basically shouldn't bother come here today at all and should start walking away now?
Well, it's a serious question. Of course, it's right to try and persuade them, but the reality is we mustn't allow ourselves to be trapped into a corner where the EU think that we will sign up to any deal, and so they just delay it, and eventually we've got no choice. If they don't believe that we're prepared to walk away and go to WTO rules and organise the technical issues around that, then they're going to continue to try and seek to maximise the damage on the deal that we do. It's like anything in business. If you're not prepared to walk away, then you will end up with a bad deal, and that is the basic premise on which the government has to conduct this negotiation. It gives some confidence to businesses, to public and consumers alike that actually, if we go to WTO, that's absolutely fine as a base case. And by the way, let's remember, on that scenario, then the EU wouldn't get the generous offer that the Prime Minister has already made in Florence.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that because, as you say, you're a businessman. You like to do things in a business-like fashion. I'm sure you honour your contracts. And isn't it just simply a fact that Britain, as a member of the European Union, entered into some commitments, which it says it will honour, and shouldn't it just get on and do it?
Well, legally, as the House of Lords has confirmed, actually, there is no legal obligation to pay anything post-March 19. But the Prime Minister quite rightly has said, we've made some commitments until the end of the current budget period. You know, that's a significant sum of money. All they've done in the EU is they've banked it, and they've said that's not good enough. Yeah. We can't negotiate against ourselves. And this suggestion that, you know, we should be paying ad infinitum really is just nonsense.
Well, no one's saying that. No one. It's just that neither side has put a figure on it. And just been talking to some expert correspondents here. They say they think probably that figure is about 50 billion euros over the next 3, 4, 5 years. Would you okay that?
What at all? Not at all. No one's actually given any justification for any payments, legal justification, beyond March 19. But the Prime Minister's made a generous offer, but we're not going to negotiate against ourselves. Well, and no one's clarified why these additional payments should be made. They're just talked about. Frankly, let's be clear, because the EU's got a financial problem.
Actually, just on that point, we agreed, as a member of the European Union, a budget going up to the end of 2020.
And that's what I've just said. And that's what I've just said. The Prime Minister's already conceded that.
You said we didn't have an obligation beyond March 19.
Legally, the obligation is March 19. Morally, no. Legally, it's March 19. Morally, it's until the end of the budget period. We've already agreed that with the Prime Minister's Florence speech. She's just banked. The EU has just banked it, and they want more and more. And we shouldn't. You know, she can't allow herself to be humiliated.
Yeah. Isn't the truth really that this letter is designed to stick a spoke into the attempts to reach an agreement? Because Leave Means Leave would like leave to mean exactly that, and for us to go straight to WTO terms.
Well, leave clearly does mean leave, and there are many people in Westminster who are trying to stop us leaving, or trying to make us essentially just a Brexit member of the European Union. Look, it's right to try for a free trade deal, but there comes a point at which you have to say, that's not going to be possible in the time frame, so let's put that to one side. Let's actually just focus on the technical and administrative arrangements in order to go to WTO. That's what we're saying, and you can't leave that too late.
That's the point. That's the point. Your real problem is that it might just be possible, and you don't really want that.
No, not at all. Look, the problem is the longer you leave it, the less time you've got to put in place the alternative arrangements, and therefore you get trapped into a really bad deal. This is basic negotiating techniques. And if people in Westminster can't understand that...
The counter-argument is that if you prepare for no deal, you get trapped into that, which I put it to you again.
Not at all. You run them... Absolutely... No, I'm sorry, Adam, that's complete nonsense. You run the two in parallel, but it's really important the EU understands that we will have these alternative arrangements in place. If we don't, we get trapped into a really bad, long-term transitional deal. And that would be bad for this country, and that's not what our negotiators should allow.
Kenneth Clarke this morning, former Chancellor, said it would be a disaster for Britain if we exited without a deal. He said that there would be tariffs on our exports to Europe, which is still our largest market, and massive queues at ports. And quite possibly he agreed with Philip Hammond that airline travel might grind to a halt. Do you really want that?
Look, no one wants that, and that's not going to happen. I mean, all this sort of Project Fear scaremongering is complete nonsense. Take the airline point. The Civil Aviation Authority is the third biggest aviation authority in the world. We can do a deal very quickly with the United States FAA, you know, to deal with air issues. No one's suggesting that aeroplanes are going to be stuck on the runways. Let's just look at the issue of ports. Let's look at the issue of ports. Only 2%.
What do we
gain?
It's really
important. It's really important to stop this scaremongering.
No, what do we go only if we 2% move from being regulated in Brussels to being regulated in Washington?
No, that's in respect of flying, for example, to the US, which, of course, is one of the most profitable routes for the major airlines.
And medicines
take this issue at Dover. Take the issue at Dover. Only about 2% of goods are physically inspected. You can have inland clearance zones. You can have trusted trader status. What we need to stop is this defeatism amongst people in Westminster who don't adopt a can-do, business-like approach to getting through these issues. That's what's required in order to be able to have a sort of the right deal and the right arrangements for the UK.